A dream is something that never lets you sleep, and today we have with us someone who I guess haven't slept that well for the past year since he was preparing day and night for the coveted UPSC exam. But now that the results are out and he has made it to the list, this is going to be a fabulous year ahead. Let's welcome Shiaz with us, who has got an All India rank of 422. Welcome, Shiaz. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very well, Shiaz. Congratulations on the great feat, and I'm sure you must be very excited for the journey ahead. But let's start with the result date. What was your reaction? How was your family and everyone once you got to know about your rank?
I was in office actually. I'm working in Kerala High Court. So when the result came, I was working in the office. So somebody called me and told that my name is in the list. So that was it. So I met with my superiors, spoke with them. Then thereafter, I got a lot of calls. My wife and son was not with me at that point of time. They were at her place. It's a little far away. So we met actually 1 week afterwards. So my parents were here. They were very excited. They were very happy with the results. They were even relieved that this preparation journey has come to an end.
All right. As you said, you have been working. You also been preparing. So, what was the duration of your journey? How long and arduous has been this path for you?
Yes, I would give a brief about it. I did my graduation in psychology in 2009. I passed out. Thereafter, I got admission for MBA in School of Management Studies, Cochin University. From there, I got placed into Tata Consultancy Services as an HR executive in 2011. So I worked there for almost 2.5 years. That is when I started seriously thinking about making this as a goal. So even before that, this was there as a desire. So from that desire to a goal level, that shift happened while I was working in TCS. I wrote the first prelims in 2014. I could reach up to interview stage, but I lost that year. Then very soon the next prelims came. Again, I reached till mains that year. I couldn't qualify mains that year. Then I started preparing again. In between, I joined in Kerala High Court as a High Court assistant in 2016 September. So that year I appeared for interview. 2017 as well, I appeared in the interview. There I lost by 4 marks. So 2018, I thought of taking a break from all this thing. I wrote the prelims, but I didn't wish to qualify. I didn't prepare anything. I didn't qualify. So that point, I seriously thought of working it out, what went wrong or what changes could have been brought, because I've been in the cycle for a very long time and doing the same things repeatedly over and over again. So while I'm in the cycle, I'm doing things related to civil service examination. Perhaps maybe after the mains, until the results of the mains come, I wouldn't do anything related to this examination. So I am a part-time doing some kind of part-time preparation. So I thought I would do something serious. So that is the journey. So it has been a long 6-7 years and 4 interviews. Okay, 5 prelims I qualified.
This is very surprising because most of the people are disappointed when they are not able to clear the pre's or the mains, but you have been in the interview for 4 times. That must have been very hard, getting the disappointment all the times. And I can understand 6 years, giving 6 years of your life is a very long time. For all the students who become very impatient, maybe after 1 defeat or 2 defeat, they are not able to clear prelims or they are not able to make it up to the interviews. What suggestion do you have to give, since you are the ideal person to ask for it? How did you keep the motivation high during your stress times?
The one thing we need to understand is we are writing this examination. This exam is not writing our life. We are writing this examination. This shouldn't be a kind of obsession that this exam shouldn't be defining who you are. You are something else and you are writing this examination, not the other way around. That is what I would like to tell all my students and all those aspirants. Keep this as a plan B. This is just an examination. If you can clear, well and good. you don't clear, that doesn't mean that you are not nothing. You are nothing. There are better things in store for you. So go after that. Don't get disappointed. Just take things as it comes. That's what I would like to tell them.
All right. Since you have cleared pre 5 times during your entire preparation and the prelims are about to come, this is the biggest fear an aspirant has while preparing to clear the first stage of the exam. What would you suggest to the aspirants how one should go ahead with the preparation?
As far as prelims is concerned,
Yes.
I would say that you don't need to compartmentalize prelims, mains like that. This is a full package thing. If you are preparing for civil services examination, the syllabus is more or less overlapping. There are certain things which are there only in prelims. Barring from that, there are things we learn which we have to learn for both prelims as well as mains. And this prelims preparation, we know where to start, but we do not have any idea about where to put an end to it. So it is better, I would suggest that you prepare for mains in the beginning, particularly the optional. So if you're planning to write 2021 prelims, which is May 26th, right? So in that case, I would suggest that until end of January, you get yourself thorough with the mains topics, because learning mains topics broadens your knowledge base, and that is very useful in eliminating various choices while you're attempting questions during the prelims. So it's all about how much wider your knowledge base is. That is how you eliminate various statements which could be wrong and all. So in I can definitely say from my experience in all my 5 prelims, I never was able to confidently mark the answer in the first round over 40 questions. It's up to 40 questions every time. So 40 questions, I would know the answer for sure, but I make it a point that I would answer as much as possible between 95 and 100. So the ideal strategy which I followed last year is that I would answer all 100 questions, and I'll try to make sure that I get 70 questions correct. So it would be 120, which would be a safer score. So that really worked actually. So I never knew the answers for all those 70 questions. I knew up to 40 questions. So the rest 30 questions or the rest 60 questions I answered using this intelligent elimination techniques, as well as this making educated guesses. So how do you make this educated guesses unless you learn the entire syllabus in its entirety? So that is what I want to tell you. If you are preparing, prepare completely. So we don't know. There is no correct formula for prelims as such. So all you can do is that prepare as much as possible. Prepare so that your knowledge base is wider and bigger, so that you can take every question, eliminate choices, come to the correct answer. At least eliminate 1 or 2 choices, that the chances of getting your question correct is on the higher side.
Since we know about the prelims, a lot of time the intelligent guesses work out, and sometimes you get in between. So this is a very grand strategy and very good strategy for all the aspirants who are planning to prepare. This can help you out way ahead as par with your other competitors. All right, when we come to the preparation, there is one thing that is scary for a lot of people, since we cannot decipher which particular source one should go ahead with while preparing. For example, the current affairs. It's a sea of knowledge. There's everything new, or there's something new every day. How one should go ahead with the preparation of current affairs as per you?
It depends on at which level you are standing. If you're a student, college-going student, I would suggest that you start reading the NCERTs and the newspaper. Make it a part of your daily routine. The newspaper should be part of your life. So in my first 2 attempts where I cleared prelims, I didn't refer to any current affairs material per se. I only depended on this religious newspaper reading. So my idea is that Hindu is the primary source. So I would read Hindu in its entirety. So even those topics like politics or the Sunday supplements and all, I would glance through it. So this perhaps would have widened my level of awareness or this knowledge base which I was referring to. Other than that, I can tell you there is no fixed timeline. If you are writing in 2021, at least you should be thorough with the things happening from January 2020. Okay, that is a not a fixed timeline, but something which we give to make your preparation convenient. Otherwise, it is very open-ended. UPSC has the habit of asking questions from previous years as well. So how do you get the answers for those areas which are 2 years, those events which are 2 years back or 3 years back? By making this newspaper habit a part of your life. So every topic you prepare, be it from let's say February 2020, you should know some idea about the background event. So some history or how the topic has evolved. That idea should also be made part of your preparation. For example, if I am to say, let's say something has happened in the area of nuclear energy. So I would suggest that when you prepare this nuclear energy, just read about what has happened over the last 70 years in the history of India as far as this nuclear sector is concerned. So that background information has to be there. When you prepare that, you will get to know if something has happened in 2010 or 2015, which is beyond the range of our preparation. That is very important, because UPSC has the habit of asking questions which might have come up somewhere, we don't know. We all read Hindu or one newspaper or the other, but that would have come in some other source which we are not aware of. So better to learn the background history or the how the topic has come, or what is the background story of a particular topic. That is very important. Then apart from this, go through all the government websites, ministry websites, Vikaspedia, PIB, and all these stuff where news which is of interest to the government would appear. Okay, that is very important.
That was very detailed aspect of UPSC preparation. So all these aspirants were working out, this is the perfect strategy. Please go religiously through your newspapers and also try to stick to one monthly compilation along with the government websites. Visit them often to know what's going on. Given the current affairs, prelims, now let's move to the major part, that's the general studies. Since you have given 5 attempts and you have prepared in 4 interviews, you must have seen your answer sheets, your results, where were you lacking or where were you not. What would you suggest if one has to, in general, prepare for general studies?
So I don't think there is a one size fits all strategy for me, because my work have been evolving for the last 6 years. So it's essential that you read the syllabus, complete every single topic given in the syllabus in the given time frame. So that is very important. And focus on, you were asking about general studies, right? Right. So focus on this 2 papers. One is essay. So we don't have the habit of writing essays. So only when you write the essay, everyone will tell you the technology or the theory of how to write a beautiful essay. But unless you practice it, it is not going to do wonders. So essay paper along with GS paper 4 is going to make or break your attempt. So what I did different from the other attempts is that I took some extra effort to score a little more in the essay paper and general studies paper 4. I don't know if that worked or not because marks are yet to come. So essay paper, we all know the theory, intro, body, conclusion, put some chords and also, but you need to do some effort on your own to get the chords, to get the intro, then actually write some 20-30 essay before your mains and get relevant feedback. I'm not saying that I have written 30 essays before mains, but I have written, considering my usual way of preparation, I've written a couple of essays compared to the previous attempts and took serious feedback from qualified people. So that is one thing I did. Then general studies paper 4, I was in fact misled by many toppers in the past who said that there is no preparation needed for this paper. It is actually common sense. And I too had this illusion of knowledge that I know this about this paper. I've done case studies during MBA. So this is very easy for me. But in fact, more than common sense, some degree of theoretical knowledge about the various concepts in part A and its application in the case studies part is essential to score better than the average as far as GS paper 4 is concerned. Spend some time on general studies 4, go through the syllabus, catch every term, understand it in its depth, find good examples rather than the cliche examples. Try to find out different examples from the internet or from the newspaper. Bring it in your answers. Bring out beautiful quotations from various freedom fighters, philosophers, religious leaders, and all. Try to bring them in your answer sheets. I think that will make your answer different and your score would be better. Still, I'm saying this without seeing my own marks, but all this preparation actually gave me a confidence to write the GS paper in a better fashion than in my previous attempts. That is one thing which I did. Then as far as GS1 is concerned, you have to do a serious preparation of this history, geography, and the society part. In fact, I actually do a very poor preparation on these areas because I'm mostly focusing on my optional during the time between my prelims and mains. So these are the topics which I give less attention to. But you should do. You should seriously prepare this freedom struggle, geography, and all. Try to write as many answers as possible, so that will improve your content and answer writing styles. Then GS paper 2, I made it a point this year that I would try learn by heart various articles related to various bodies, then fundamental rights, all those articles, then major Supreme Court judgments. I made a separate list of cases and what the cases, the summary of judgments, that I made a separate list. Then I tried to bring in all these aspects into the answers. I still don't know how much marks I got. GS paper 3 is something which I was very uncomfortable with, though I tried to prepare a lot of time for the economic survey. In the exam hall, I felt very miserable because I couldn't recollect all those things. So I don't know how I scored. In 2017, I got around 120 marks. I wrote very generic answers. This year also I've written like that. But I would like you to stick to the syllabus topics. If possible, try to prepare 200 word content for every topic mentioned. For example, certain things are very repetitive and very basic, like food processing industry, topics like that, agriculture. Those things you need to prepare. In fact, I thought I knew all those things, and I went on after this economic survey. In fact, put a lot of time on that. But in the exam hall, I didn't actually recollect all which I read in the survey. In fact, previous surveys came to my mind. I wrote that as in my answer. So that is about GS paper 3. Then GS paper 4, I said, take your time. Every keyword, prepare in detail about it. For example, those civil service values and all. Then have a glance through the second ARC report, the ethics in governance. Okay. Even those terms or those 7 principles of Nolan, then Gandhi's 7 sins, then the principles of public life by Nolan committee. Those things which are given in box in the report. Maybe at least you should go through the first chapter and the last chapter, or if you can go for a summary. Then try to bring as many examples from current affairs, newspapers, or from the things you learned in history. Everything can be brought into your answer. That's it. I think I've been a little more detailed.
Right. So for the GS papers, students don't underestimate the power of essay and GS paper 4. After the GS comes the main part, Something one is very confident about. One needs to, as UPSC expects you to be a master in your optional exam. First of all, she asks, a lot of aspirants are confused while deciding upon their optional exam. Like some are from arts or some are from science stream, and it is very new for them to select an optional. How would you suggest one goes ahead and selects their optional?
Okay, fine. See, I had this serious problem with optionals. I, in fact, started with public administration. So while I was working, I am not very familiar with this guidance or coaching. So I asked some random person which optional should I take. So somebody told me that PubAd is the most popular one, so and the easiest one. So I started reading public administration. But soon I found out that the subject is not evoking any interest in me. I found it very dull, and I really realized that I'm not going to read it in the long term because I find it very boring. So no problem with the subject. The problem is with me. So then I thought, how about taking psychology? So somebody said psychology, it's your graduation subject, go for it. And it's again, a lot of people are clearing with psychology. When the prelims results came, I too got qualified, though I wasn't expecting. That time CSAT was also counted. So then I was in a state of panic. I don't have optionals. I don't have GS with me. So I spent a lot of time on GS. Then optional took a backseat. So before the exam, when I opened the previous year question papers, I was perplexed to see that I haven't read or seen many of the areas. So I did pretty bad that year. Next year also the same thing happened. I couldn't even complete the optionals in time because after the interview got over, there was very little time for prelims. Then after prelims again the same thing that happened the previous year repeated. So that year I crashed my optionals. I scored less than I think around 175. The previous first attempt it was 212. I came down to 175. Then that year I had serious thoughts about changing the optional. I started reading anthropology. So when the time to apply prelims came, again this dilemma came. I had a lot of emotional investment in psychology. I took a graduation degree in psychology, so why not continue with it? So that was a difficult decision. I stick to psychology again. I put psychology as my optional. So for all those students, if you want to take an optional, never listen to all those scoring optional like that. First thing you need is that this is a marathon race. Civil service preparation is marathon race. There is no guarantee that you are getting into service in the first year or the second year. So if you, I wish that doesn't happen like it happened to me. If you are to prepare like that of a marathon, you need to find a subject which is going to be interesting for you, and you can continue reading it over and over again rather than shifting the optional in between the race. So go for something where that is very interesting for you. This scoring pattern is very cyclical. Some year anthropology was a very scoring subject. Other year it would come down. So that is very cyclical. Very unless you are you are not taking mechanical engineering like that or mathematics. You can also possibly think about a subject which can aid you in your GS preparation as well, which you can take along with your GS preparation. So all you can do is that every subject in unit 1, I suppose that if it is psychology, if it is like the psychology, every subject would have an introduction chapter which talks about what the subject is all about, how the subject has evolved, how the discipline of psychology or sociology is what it is now. So that is the basic introductory unit. You read that unit as per the syllabus. Try to answer the questions from that area. If it works for you, then go for it. That is all I can tell you. If you are a person who graduated in that subject, definitely that syllabus and questions would be very familiar to you, will sound familiar to you. But that is not enough. Try to write down some answers and see how it comes out. See the questions and find whether it is you are able to answer it on your own after reading the first unit. That you can do. That is all I would like to tell you about choosing an optional. And never hesitate to stop preparing an optional if that is not going to work for you. I have seen many students in psychology. Psychology is interesting for everyone, so they would jump into psychology, but after that they may not be finding the grip on the subject even after preparing for an year or two. They read everything, every study material, but when the question comes, they are not finding the right answer, or the crux of the, or what the question is asking for. If they are not able to understanding it, then this is not their subject. Okay, your interest, everything is fine, but we are not reading, we are not preparing for gaining knowledge or for satisfying our soul. We are writing for getting marks, right? So never hesitate to change your optional if you find stuck at one point. The idea is that if you are in a pit, never dig further. Stop digging, get out of the pit. That is.
All right, so that's something which is very important, and everyone, all the aspirants should keep this in mind. Never decide upon an optional just looking at who is the topper, what rank they got, what subject they had. Choose what you can study for a deep, long time with the same interest over the years if it comes to that stage. And also write answers, because school pattern or university pattern is very different from what UPSC expects out of it. So she asked, this was all about your preparation, but once the mains results are out, one is very excited for the next part, that is the interview stage. Since you already mentioned that you have appeared 4 times for the interview and something went haywire, hints or thence, I am sure you are the right person to guide us through how one should prepare for the interview part.
You have sufficient understanding of the syllabus. If you have read through it, you are cleared means that you don't need any specific preparation for the interview per se. All you need to do is that you just try to answer questions and make sure that you are putting it in the right way without turning yourself without making any controversial statement, or without offending any person in the board. So if you talk about civil service interview, you have very senior people sitting as your interviewers, particularly the UPSC member and the other panelists, and it is very important that you do not offend them in any way, or you try to make them feel that you are more knowledgeable. I have experiences before where the panelists were talking very nonsense as far as psychology is concerned. They were trying to analyze my psychology using some random theory, which has nothing to do with the subject matter of psychology. So I think that I did the right thing by not trying to correct them. Let it be like that. We are there to score marks. So my scores in interview was not that great. I scored 171, 172, 165. I don't know how much I scored this year. It wouldn't break your entry into the rank list. So this is what my scores were. So always I felt that in one of my attempts, the interview was very stressful. They actually tried to provoke me, they insulted me, they laughed at my ignorance. But that interview, I thought I would be scoring very less, but that was the interview where I got 172. In fact, the kind of feeling when you are out of the interview board was worst in that particular year. What my reading, my understanding of what happened is that they are looking for your composure. Whether you are calm or whether you are getting offended, whether you are trying to be argumentative when you are provoked. These are the things which they are looking for. How you are going to carry yourself when you are put under pressure. That is all about interview. Try to be very calm. Try to smile. Always try to look in the eye and speak confidently with conviction, and never hesitate to say I don't know if you do not know a particular answer. And it is very important that you are responsible. Remember that you are responsible for every single word you have written in your detailed application form. So prepare for every question that could possibly come from your DAF. Even it could be a word, maybe the name of your school, or even your own name, or the subjects which you learned in your high school or higher secondary. I have got questions from those areas as well. Okay, so generally when in mock interviews there is a usual pattern. They would ask the current affairs and all, but more importantly, in 90% of the time I've got questions based on my detailed application form, and I have always felt that I am responsible for everything I put in. So if you have put your graduation subject as something, be very sure that you have a minimal understanding of that subject.
So, interview, never be hesitant about things, be very confident. They have already checked your knowledge skills in the pre and mains. So, you have to be not provoked easily, be very confident, look in the eye. That's what Shiaz here is telling us about his experiences in the interview session. So, Shiaz, this has been a very long and fruitful interview, but there are many myths related to the profession. Also, before we come to that, there's something that everyone takes very lightly. I don't know how many students are able to clear and how many fail because of the CSAT exam. That has been recent entries, I guess, after 2014. How
Yes.
would you suggest the art students basically they get confused or sometimes they don't have the guidance? How would you suggest one prepare for the CSAT part?
In fact, CSAT I cleared in 2014 when it was counted along with paper one. So that year I got I think around 120 in that paper. I don't remember exactly, but when it was made qualifying, my scores also came down. So the idea which I make out of it is that when I do not prepare, my scores will also come down. So if you take last 5 years or 6 years CSAT paper, try to work it out. Maybe at least 2-3 years you work it out. If your scores come less than 95, I would suggest that you do some serious preparation about CSAT. It is not if you take the CAT exam or the management aptitude test, the questions are not even up to that level. It is much simpler than that. So you just need a reasonable degree of preparation only for the CSAT paper. In my case, I was very confident as far as the comprehension part is concerned. So you get around 30 comprehension questions. So I am stronger in that area. Maybe I feel that my habit of reading the Hindu, I initially, when I started reading Hindu, I put some extra effort. For example, if I am to tell you, you can get the idea of what is there in a paragraph by reading the entire paragraph. But there are certain phrases, there are words which you do not know the meaning, exact meaning of. So in the initial days, I used to work on my language side as well. I used to write down. I used to open an app, find out the meaning of phrases, Google various phrases, write it down somewhere. So that over a period of time, my comprehension ability also would have improved. So thereafter, I always, whenever the CSAT time starts, I would first do all the comprehension questions. Then in the rest of the time, I would do the other questions. So that was my strategy. I don't know if it will work for you. So whether to prepare or not, that is based on how much you are able to score. If your score is less than 95 in the question papers set by UPSC in the past years, then you should seriously prepare. Because I know many of my friends who actually scored 120 plus in paper one, but couldn't clear CSAT because not because they are not good at it, because they have lost the touch, or they lost the touch with doing this quant, because they have done that several years back during their BTech or after 12th standard, but they lost the edge. So to revive that, you need to do some reasonable preparation. Okay, that's all I have to say. My strategy was focusing more on the comprehension, but that is not an advisable strategy for everyone, particularly when you are weak on that area.
All right. Shiaz, coming to the last part of the interview, there are certain myths related to the UPSC preparation. So I say you have to study so many hours, or you have to take so many tests, or you need to start writing answer very early. Let's bust one by one. How soon do you think one should start writing answers?
I would say I haven't done it, but I would say as early as possible, start writing answers, because I had this belief that this is some one area which I have got some strength. I only need a certain refinement. So I never wrote answers on a daily basis. But if you are a person who think that your writing ability should be improved, then you should write at least one answer every day, or you can work out previous year questions after learning a particular topic. Writing is very important. I haven't done that, and I have paid a price for that. Particularly, time is the biggest factor in writing. Means I was very finding it very difficult to finish paper on time, because you get only 8-9 minutes to write an answer, and it was very difficult for me in the initial 2-3 attempts. I found it very difficult to finish the paper.
All right, coming up next, how many hours should you think one study per day? There are myths about it. What should be the ideal strategy for that?
I don't have any fixed hours per se, because I am performing several other roles. I used to work, then I have a kid. I have to spend time with them, spend time with the family. So before the exams, I used to, let's say 8 hours or something. I used to spend time in the library and all. That is during my last attempt. Okay, so I was studying before the exams only. So I wouldn't suggest that you should prepare for this many hours every day. Make the time, whatever time you're spending, make it very productive, and don't go for other business in between. If it is 2 hours, let that 2 hours count. That is it.
So with this we come to the end of the interview. Thank you so much, Yas, for your time, and we wish you all the very best for your bright future. Thank you.
You're welcome, Renu.